Hello, Noel, and hello, 20 group members. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share some exciting new information with you. I hope it's new. I know bits of this may be new to you, and some of it may not be. I will cut right to the chase, and hopefully Noel has shared with you some information about me, and I won't drag things out with contact information and things like that. But my name is Mark Canty, and my organization is called Release Dynamics. I'm a digital marketing agency. And a little bit of background, and hopefully, again, Noel can share more with you, but reconnected with Noel and the Spader Group recently, but worked with Noel and Dwayne, in fact, and John back in the 80s and 90s. So it's a great opportunity to be back with these fellows and to share some information and some of the leading edge stuff that I've been up to over the past few years. So I want to talk to you today specifically about the shift that's happening, traditional versus digital marketing. And I call it the de-evolution of traditional marketing. And I'm going to show you why and give you some information to help you perhaps evolve, perhaps look at your marketing mix and where you are right now and give you some ideas for moving forward. So with no further ado, let me move forward very quickly. Noel has given me a limited time span here. I'm going to close my screen here so that I'm not distracting you from the slides. So let's dive right in. I grew up in a physical world and I speak English. The next generation is growing up in a digital world and they speak social. I think that's a fantastic quote, and it certainly resonates with me for the work that I've been doing. But this might be the way you feel when you hear a statement like that. And it doesn't have to be scary. There's a lot of unknowns and a lot of things are changing, and it's a very dynamic process that's happening right now. But in the seeds of change and innovation lie the opportunities. And that's why I'm very excited about what's been happening in the field of marketing and the opportunities for RV dealers all across the world, really. But hopefully for you guys, you're getting some of this information firsthand and you'll be able to take advantage of this. So here's a reality. We have two worlds we really live in now. We live in the physical world and the digital world, and we do business in both worlds. And if we're not balancing ourselves, a skill and an idea and a concept I learned from my mentor, Dwayne Spader, many years ago. If we're not in balance, then sometimes things aren't going to work. In fact, in most cases, they're not going to work. So when we talk about the physical world, obviously we deliver products and services in the physical world. So our service departments work in the physical world. They physically work on RV units that need repair. We sell and deliver RVs to people. So people who are buying a camper, who are going to take the keys, that's a physical contact. So we're delivering those products and services. But on the other side, there's another world called the digital world. And what's shifted and what's changed is the fact that people now gather information from the digital world. And as a business, are you prepared and are you proactive in terms of building relationships with people, connecting with people in the digital world? Because from my perspective and from the research that we've been doing over the years, is in the digital world is where we build those relationships and where we start to communicate with the customer and establish that connection. So how do we do that? How do we connect the physical to the digital? And, are you aware that there's this big shift going on, and are you addressing it? Or are you like that previous slide, just kind of in a panic and a fright situation? Well, you don't have to be, because things are happening and there are processes and systems in place to help you make this shift. The big question is, will traditional marketing die in the long run? Well, I'm going to leave that question hanging for a minute, and let's look at some information. So why is digital marketing so important? Why is it so important to your dealership? I'm just going to read this verbatim here. Digital media is so pervasive that consumers have access to information anytime and any place they want it. Gone are the days when the messages people got about your products or services came from you and consisted only of what you wanted them to know. Wouldn't you agree that in most cases, consumers are coming into your dealership and they know often more about the product or what you're offering than you do at that moment in time? So digital media is an ever-growing source of entertainment, news, shopping, and social interaction, and consumers are now exposed not just to what your company says about your brand and your company, but what the media, friends, relatives, peers, etc. are all saying as well. And they are more likely to believe them than you. This is the dramatic shift that's happening. People want brands they can trust, companies that know them, communications that are personalized and relevant, and offers that are tailored to their specific needs and preferences. Is your marketing addressing and reaching out to people in this way? That's the question we want to answer and we want to dive into. So let's talk about some statistics, some research that we've done. So we actually looked at through one of our companies that we're associated with called Real Strategic, and we said, after being referred to a business, let's talk about referrals now. After being referred to a business, what do you do next? Well, 87% of people said they went online to find company information. Isn't that fascinating? And it's a wake-up call as well for many people. I'm sure many of you have even seen people doing research on their cell phones right in your dealership. So there's a follow-up question to that. And that was, now that you're online looking for a company, what do you do next? Well, over half of those people look for online reviews and ratings. The rest are looking for specific information about your company, like maybe having a look at your website, or maybe they're simply looking for your address or your phone number. And the final segment is looking at social media. So how come this is so important? This is important because we need to realize that people are reaching out and looking for information and a contact point, not necessarily for you to sell them, but they're looking for what their peers are saying about you. They're looking for what their peers are saying about the brand that they're interested in. Let's jump forward in terms of how we can address this and how our marketing is shifted from traditional to digital. So if we look at this fact that digital takes the lion's share of marketing dollars, you want to ask yourself, where am I in all of this? So back in 2011, we knew statistically already digital had taken a larger share of the budget than traditional. But look at the trend. And in fact, we're ahead of this 2021 figure. We're actually in 2018, we're already at the 75-25 split. And for many businesses, we're even higher than that. Often businesses are spending 80-85% of their marketing spend is going to digital marketing versus traditional. Why is that? What is so alluring about it? And why is it so powerful? Think about that for a moment. So how does your marketing mix compare? And let's have a look at this in a little bit of detail, and I'll just leave you with this to think about is, are you operating from a best-in-class mix in your marketing expenditures? So I want to give you some insights into how the allocation of this money would be going. So if you're spending 75% of your advertising spend on digital, then this is best in class. Now, I got to tell you, this information is dated by about a year, and that's a long time in the digital space. So we see that website is at 18%, online advertising 14%, social media 13%, mobile 12%, search and SEO 12%, and email marketing 7%. Now, I'm going to qualify this information by saying that we're seeing a dramatic shift, and some of these numbers have changed, and specifically around the whole mobile arena. And that's because people have shifted to smartphones and tablets at a dramatic rate. So I would suggest that a best-in-class budget in 2018 and moving into 2019 would shift a lot of those funds from website to mobile. So I would recommend shifting about 8% from the website budget and plugging that right into mobile. So therefore, we'd be looking at 10% on your website and about 20% on mobile. So the big question is, are all of your eggs in one or just a few baskets? Or are you taking advantage of all of the opportunities that digital media allows you to, and all the channels that are open to you? So let's talk a little bit more about traditional versus digital. Many of you know this already, but just to kind of summarize, traditional marketing, as we know, is radio, television, print, direct mail, and events. The important thing to take note from this is, in the past, when we used traditional marketing for the lion's share of our spend, it was a broad marketing strategy, meaning it reached a lot of people. We had to throw a lot of mud on the wall to get a little bit to stick. So traditional channels like newspaper, radio, and TV allow you to generate broad awareness quickly, but oftentimes they can be costly and difficult to measure. And that's one of the keys for digital that brings an opportunity for us. The other thing is it's very inefficient. Often we have to reach hundreds of thousands of people in the hopes that a few of those are actually interested in that moment in time in the product or service that we're offering. Let's shift over to digital for a moment. We've got website, which means content and SEO, mobile and mobile search, social media, online advertising, PPC, email marketing. All of these encapsulate the digital marketing arena. Now, the thing about digital marketing is it's highly targeted. Digital marketing provides a much more targeted approach, and as a result, it's a lower cost per conversion because you can zero in. Now, all of a sudden, instead of having to do, say, a radio ad to a population of 500,000, I can do a digital marketing campaign to 150 people. So that brings the cost down dramatically and the cost per conversion because I'm not needing to reach nearly as many people to get the same end result. The other huge factor here is that digital marketing allows us to measure virtually every element of what we're doing, and it provides detailed reporting. Now, of course, execution of this is very complex. That's how I make my living, is doing this 8, 10, 12 hours a day to help people like you wade through and actually create a complex plan that's going to work. The other thing I want to highlight here is the measurement ability. Now, Dwayne Spader, when I was in my 20s and had my first dealership, is still one of my fondest mentors and one of my first mentors. And one of the things Dwayne always talked about, I'm sure he or the Spader organization has taught you, is that you can't manage what you don't measure. So one of the things that digital allows us to do is to measure everything. And that means we can really hone in and get very specific. So when we think back to the statistics, that little bit of research, that, data that I showed you before, about 87% of people going online, why have leading businesses switched to invest the majority of their marketing budget in digital? Well, that's because after being exposed to any kind of offline advertising, that could be referral, but also think about it this way. Is your newspaper ad not a referral? Is your radio ad not a referral? Is your direct mail not a referral? Sure they are. They're all referring people to your business and your brand. And guess what? Over 80% of those consumers are going to go online to get information about you. They're going to check you out online. So are you meeting their needs? A few more slides and we'll finish up here. Meet your new customers. According to the 2017 North American Camping Report, which was an independent study done by Campgrounds of America, KOA, millennials continue to drive the growth of camping. And I'm sure Noel's going to share with you a brief report that I did for him about this, is that we're finding this shift right now is many people in the RV industry and also in the marine industry too, come from the baby boomer segment and also have traditional values. And they're meeting with a new group of people that are coming on very strong. So what does the report state? Not only are millennials taking to the outdoors, they are doing so in greater numbers than what would be expected. In the overall population, millennials comprise about 31% of the adult population, and yet they account for 38% of all campers. Interesting stat. So consider these stats. We know that baby boomers represent about 76 million, but then we've got these other things coming at us. Gen X and Gen Y are the people that I want you to focus on specifically, and they total about 155 million people. So that's more than double the boomers. Now think about those numbers. Where do the majority of your buyers currently fit, and where will they fit in the future? And is your marketing medium meeting them where they are? Let me give you a big hint here. Gen X, Y, and Z are all hanging around and deciding their brand preferences online. That is where your future lies. So think on those things. I want to wrap up by saying thank you. Thanks for participating. Thanks for listening. I know we just had a brief time together. I certainly hope that you get something out of this, and I would love to get feedback from all of you on this information. I'd love to get your questions and love to start a discussion with you. I can't wait to get started helping you and having that discussion and carrying this forward and helping you transform and make that transition from traditional to digital. Thanks so much for your time, and I hope I haven't taken too much of it. Noel, I hope we stuck to the clock this time, and I wish you all well, and I look forward to speaking with each and every one of you soon. Bye for now.